Sanjay is in Leicester and Noshaba Hussain is with us as well. Good afternoon to both of you.
Hi. Hello, good afternoon.
Sanjay, I'll start with you, then I'll go straight to Noshaba. Sanjay, do you believe that this UKIP MEP has a point?
He has a point, but I don't really know what his point is by doing this. People need to realise that Islam is a worldwide problem and it's caused nothing but pain ever since it started. The only reason I ring in as a Hindu, because they've caused so much problems to Hindus over the thousand years, they've killed so many Hindus, so I'm always affected by it. So that's why I always ring in the radio station as a Hindu ringing in.
I think the Muslims in Gujarat may take some issue with that.
Yeah, well, the thing is this. I'll just give you some quick facts and that's it. What I want to say is Muslims have killed over 100 million Hindus in India. They've knocked down 20,000 Hindu temples, and then to top it up, they've built mosques on top of that. And then Hindus wonder why are we always... it's not that we hate Muslims, it's the fact that we are aware of Muslims. We're intelligent enough to know what's exactly happened. They've converted so many Hindus into Muslims over the years. So if this guy comes along and says they need to sign a conduct saying that things like that, you can sort of understand it, but in a way it doesn't mean anything. It's like you said, it's toilet paper. It doesn't really mean much.
You clearly have issues with Muslims.
Well,
why?
The thing is, I grew up with Muslims. About 5%. I had 2 or 3 the best friends which were Muslims, and I can never say I hate individuals. I can say what it teaches is wrong. It does teach us what is wrong. Like I said, Islam is
such as specify a verse that you feel teaches Muslims to be evil people.
I've read the Quran sometimes.
Okay, well then good. Then you'll be able to name the verse.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't really want to start spouting out quotes because you sometimes take problem to that. So what I want to say
No, wait a minute, Sanjay. Yeah. This is free speech. I'm not Kim Jong-il. I mean, you know, if you make a comment like that about Muslims,
okay.
I think that Muslims listening, and indeed anyone listening, has the right to hear you specify the verse.
Okay, there's one verse that says kill all infidels, which is non-believers. Now the thing is, they especially say Christians...
Isn't there a context to that?
Yes, there is. Another thing I want to say is, you know, everyone keeps reading this English Quran, which has got edited versions. It's missing verses off it. They need to read the Medina version of the full Quran. I mean, everyone keeps... I mean, the Quran we're reading in the UK is edited.
Sanjay, when was the last time one of your Muslim friends tried to kill you? Or indeed any Muslim tried to kill you?
They didn't, but I'll tell you a story. We did.
What's wrong with them then?
Nothing, because they're British born. What I'm saying is when they got older, they got more religious. When we were young, we were better. We never talked about religion much.
Right.
And this is the problem.
Have you gone to India?
Yes.
Do you feel that you have wandered past a Muslim at all when you were in India?
Yes, I have certain areas where I went into Delhi. There was Hindus telling me don't go down. I said, are you kidding me, mate? This is Hindustan. Are you out of your mind? They said there's Muslims in that area. They'll kill you, in other words.
And did you go?
No, I didn't, because it was pathetic. Because the thing is, I can fight them, but what am I supposed to do on my own? It's not look, all it is about is the fact that Islam is a dangerous ideology. It is a problem worldwide, and it's going to take over the world. It's got 56 countries already. I mean, people are just thinking I'm laughing or anything. If it's only 1,400 years old, how come it's got 56 countries? Jewish and Hinduism is the oldest religions. Judaism is about 4,000. Hindus are over 10,000. Hindus got 2 countries, India and Nepal. The Jewish have got Israel, and yet the Muslims are in those countries bothering them.
Bothering them?
Yeah, they're bothering Jewish people in Israel, and they're bothering Hindus in India.
So, sorry, by that rationale, are Muslims not allowed to travel across the world?
They're allowed to travel. Nihal, what it is, Muslims can be everywhere. Just respect other people and don't try to take over anyone's land or bother with other people's religion and try to say...
But did your best friends, did they ever try and convert you?
They did later on in life, and I hated them for it. I just couldn't believe it. Are you serious?
But I mean, you can just say no. I mean, I presume when you walk into a shop, the first person that says buy this washing machine, you don't just buy it, do you?
Well, the thing is...
Or do you walk out hating the salesperson for trying to sell you a washing machine?
Well, Nihal, if they really were my friends, would they try to convert me? I mean, I never tried to bother anyone with their religion.
But Sanjay, I mean, what about looking at it this way? They just are proud of who they are and what they are, and they want to give you the opportunity to share in that. And if you say no, then they're how do you know? I mean, when you said no, did they suddenly say you were going to go and burn in hellfire?
No, they were saying you'd get bad luck and stuff. I said, what? Are you serious?
Mate, I mean, with all due respect, there are enough Muslims going through bad luck. I mean, look at all of what's going on in Syria and Iraq at the moment. So
they bring it on themselves. If they keep bothering people, what do you expect? They're trying to take over the world. I mean, you're acting like Muslims are doing nothing, or peaceful meditating or something.
Well, I'm not acting like that. I'm just saying by my own experiences, Sanjay, and by your own admission, no Muslim has ever tried to kill you or attack you, even though you believe them to be a violent creed. My friends who are Muslims, I will just make this very clear, have never ever asked my wife to cover her hair when they go in their house, have never tried to convert us. I've gone round there to break fast with my Muslim friends. One of them did actually say, we do a prayer now. And his wife turned around and said, well, Nihal doesn't have to do that. He's not a Muslim. And my mate went, yeah, of course he doesn't. They know
it's because they know you're famous. That'll backfire on them. That's why. I mean, you're not a normal person.
I'm not a normal person. I've heard that said before. I'm not a normal person. Sanjay, just stay with us. Stay with us before we go from the sublime to the ridiculous. Stay with us. Nashaba Hussain is from FARAC, which is Family Advocacy Arbitration and Counselling Service, pronounced FARAC, there you go, works with women in crisis. Nashaba, you've just heard Sanjay articulate how he feels about Islam and Muslims, and he is by no means on his own in feeling that way.
No, we have hysterical human beings on all sides of the spectrum, haven't we? Whether they're Muslims, whether they're Hindus, whether they're Christians, whether they're wherever. Unfortunately, unreasonableness is a human condition. But I think what we have to do really is to consider what this MEP, who is in a position of authority, who is the immigration spokesman for UKIP, has said, because it's quite important. Partly, I'm an educationist, and I'm involved with young people, working with them on issues to do with the Second World War and what Hitler did, and the way that he had the Jews wear yellow bands around their arms to identify them in society. I think as British citizens, all of us have to think we are equal before the law. If someone commits a criminal act, the law against terrorism is there, the law against criminality is there, the law against discrimination is there, and it applies to everyone.
Nashaba, what stops a Muslim from becoming the kind of Muslim that we see who is willing to strap explosives to themselves and blow themselves up and tell women they can and can't do this, etc., etc.? I mean,
we have a group of alienated, like you have alienated young people in every society.
Yeah.
Okay, we had a report just recently from the House of Lords where they were being very sensible, because I work a lot with young people, and they were talking about alienation of young people generally, however it expresses itself, whether it expresses itself in binge drinking or failure to go out to work or not seeking employment, or like some of them who get into the hands of the extremists and they feel that they get justified in whatever they want to do. The whole point is that the kinds of statement that a responsible person like the MEP makes panders to these people. And this is what the House of Lords spokespeople were saying, that the alienation of young people, when we should be thinking of an integrated society, they become outsiders. They become that Muslims see themselves as being pushed to the periphery of society, which is not healthy for anyone.
Okay. What about? I mean, just ask Sanjay, I mean, counter some of Sanjay Park's, I understand you're not a historian or an imam.
No, but I don't know a lot about what he was talking about, because in reality, he's lost sight of quite a lot of the fact that my family were freedom fighters at the time of the War of Independence, all right? And we're talking about 1857, okay?
Right.
And after 1857, the British killed 10 million Indians, us lot, my family and others, okay, and transported them to all the corners of the earth. I haven't heard Sanjay talk about that. Muslims in India were part of society. Yes, they were ruling, and I can't account for what rulers have done. But there were a lot of positive things as well. They managed the country, they unified the country, they defended the country against enemies, and they were part of that society. The 100 million Muslims he's talking about are Indians.
But
okay?
Nashaba, what about what Sikhs and Hindus who are in Pakistan and Christians in Pakistan tell us? What about what Christians in Egypt have been through? What about Christians in Nigeria have been through?
I object to that. First of all, because there is no sanction for this in Islam at all. This brand, like the speakers who we get here who get airtime that they're propagating, contributes to this demonization. They have to be shut up. They mustn't be given airtime, because it's just like you have to treat them like the EDL.
But of course, but how do we presume that they don't have a larger following?
They haven't, because we're talking about 3 million Muslims living in Britain, and you're talking about one person or two people who open their big mouths to talk nonsense, and you give them airtime, and the 3 million of us are silent. We have no voice. And
you do on this station.
Well, at the moment, I mean, our perspective...
You do every time. We would never, ever put someone on such as Anjem Choudhury without having someone who would counter him. We would never do that.
Well, you have to do this, because I'm afraid...
We do it.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I appreciate that you try to give a balanced view. And that's maybe what we have to do. We do have to give the other point of view, because what they're propagating is not Islam. It's something else. You speak to the average Muslim, that is not Islam, what they're propagating. It's a new brand of whatever they want to, that Islam.
But there are people here in this country, aren't there, Noshaba, who agree with that brand of Islam?
Well, there are people everywhere who agree with nonsense, aren't there?
Yes, but the problem is that we're not talking about nonsense necessarily. We're talking about people setting fire to poppies in front of returning soldiers and in front of British people. We're talking about people willing to strap bombs to themselves and blow themselves up on trains and tubes. We're talking about people who are willing to plan actions such as that.
They're criminals. This is the point. This is where you're missing the point. These people have to be dealt with within the criminal law. You commit a crime in this country.
They are.
Yeah,
the people accused of killing drummer Lee Rigby are being tried not in a military court, but, and indeed they were found guilty, of course. The people who were found guilty for the murder of Lee Rigby were dragged through the courts.
And that is how it has to happen.
But remember, it wasn't the courts that talked about Islam. It was the murderers of drummer Lee Rigby that talked about Islam and Muslims.
And the majority of the Muslim population of Britain condemned them and distanced itself from them.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yes,
and this is exactly what has to be allowed to happen. Like the British people, when the EDL stand up and talk a lot of nonsense, they say, this doesn't represent us. They don't speak for us.
Yeah, okay. This is a good point to bring Sanjay back in. Sanjay, you've heard Noshaba eloquently describe, this is not us. Why are we being told and branded with this?
Yeah,
horrible.
I want to tell you, she's talking about nonsense. I'm telling you something. Everything she just said is nonsense.
Why?
First of all, the EDL exists because they don't want Islam taking over England. That's all it is. As simple as that. And it's happening, and you don't even know it's happening, and it's happening. Another thing, when Tommy Robinson ever quotes stuff like Muslims are the first victims, what he means by this is this. If I can please just say this quickly once off. He means when a Muslim baby is born in a family, the parents brainwash that baby before the baby can even breathe. It's already brainwashing.
What do you mean? Wait a minute. How is that any different for you being told you're a Hindu from birth, a Sikh being told a Sikh's a Sikh from birth? I mean, why does it not become brainwashing when your parents are doing it to you, but becomes brainwashing when a Muslim does it to their kids?
Because the thing is, they're forcing that into their brain. The innocent kid, innocent.
Talking about, man. What do you mean? I mean, look, so by that rationale, how old were you when you first went to a Hindu temple?
I was about 5 or 6.
How dare they brainwash a 5-year-old?
No. Wait. I went in my own time. And
what, you got the bus yourself, did you?
The thing with non-Islam people is they're open-minded. With Islamic, they're not open-minded. They're just corrupted. They're just corrupted, saying one there is, and they kill the rest. That's all there is. There is no such thing as.
Tell me one Muslim you know who. Tell me, I mean, it's quite interesting because you said you used to have 3 best friends, Muslim. None of them tried to kill you.
You know, when I said 3 best friends, I mean out of 200, 3 were the closest. And the funny thing
but they didn't try and kill you. You talk about Muslims as if they are one.
I said because they're British, they're not going to try and kill anyone, are they?
But you've been in India. India, actually, even after the Mumbai attacks, didn't erupt into civil war, did it? There are more Muslims in India than there are in Pakistan. If they were all trying to kill each other, they could probably, considering it only takes one person to strap the bomb to themselves and create absolute carnage, you would think the 160 or so million plus Muslims there are in India would actually be able to bring India to its knees.
Nihal, please, look, can I say one last thing? You know, I'm going to tell you something. You know, when Muslims were in rule of India, what happened is British took over for 200 years. You know, the woman was previously answering, why didn't I mention that? Yeah? And the British white people had killed over 30 million Hindus. Yeah?
Sanjay, do you think that perhaps Sanjay, Hindus were overrun so easily because they were so busy discriminating against each other because of the caste system?
Let me tell you something. First of all, Hinduism has got nothing to do with caste. The silly Indian people, which is why the Congress is ruling India right now, it's just the silly Indian people which is the problem. Nothing to do with Hinduism. Hinduism is the best. It's the only religion in my book.
Yeah, you're right to let him talk.
I mean, the thing is, it's over 10,000 years old, and these pathetic Muslims come along with 1,400 years old.
Hey, Sanjay, you have every right to be angry. You have every right to voice your things, but be careful with these pathetic Muslims, etc., etc. You have not been able to provide any. You have not been able to provide any evidence that any Muslim has ever tried to kill you.
57 countries taken over already. You wait another 30 years. You see what happens.
What do you mean?
Like I said.
But what about? Okay, why don't you have the same issues with the Catholic Church and Christianity? Christianity was spread, and Catholicism was spread with the sword. Was it not?
Is it all right if what I want to say is Jesus himself was a peaceful man. He was a lovely man. He never hurt a fly. That's the difference. I mean, it was a Roman Empire which took over, and he happened to be Christian along with it.
Sanjay, you made your points very, very clear indeed, and I can imagine we're going to now get an avalanche of texts and emails off the back of that. I'd like to keep Sanjay on for a little while longer, actually, because I can imagine there's some people that do want to speak to him. Bob is in East London, and maybe one of them. Bob, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Nihal. It's now I'm of the Hindu faith like Sanjay, and I think Sanjay's gone overboard. He does come up with some facts which are correct as regards what happened in India.
Right.
But as regards the UKIP MP, I don't agree with his stance on getting this charter to be signed by all Muslims. I think that's wrong. He's brandishing everybody with the same brush, which you know, there's prisons in every nation. Every nation has bad people, and therefore this UKIP MP is just going a bit too far. I mean, there are certain problem areas, for example, you may have seen on YouTube in East London, where there's been Muslim patrols by a minority element, granted, that say you can't wear this dress or you can't have homosexual.
And those people are total idiots, and most Muslims would think of them as total idiots.
Yeah, I mean, I probably, and you're probably correct, but this problem is germinating. That's my issue. It is germinating. It is a minority, like you say. I know Andrew and Chowdhury is a minority, and your lady friend, your lady caller, has also said that as well. I just hope this problem doesn't expand in the coming generation.
Okay, Bob, stay with us, because I think that's a point that does worry a lot of people. Afshin is in Lancashire. Afshin, good afternoon.
Hi there. Hi, Nihal.
How are you?
Very angry. I'm sure you can understand why.
I can imagine.
Listening to Sanjay, sort of, and I hear him on a regular basis, so he comes on your show quite a lot.
I've never heard him talk like that before.
Well, to be honest, I've heard him say he uses every opportunity that is remotely to do with Islam to sort of big up Hinduism and bash Islam. I am your average Muslim. Like your lady caller was just saying there, speak to your average Muslim. That's me. I'm just your everyday average person that has got nothing to do, remotely anything to do with half the things that he was saying.
Do you have kids, Afshin?
So what was that?
Do you have children?
I do have 3 children.
Can I ask you, Afshin, how will you make sure they don't become the kind of British Asians who, like Bobby's pointing out, will think of their area as a Muslim area only, where you can't drink alcohol on the street, where you can't be gay, you can't, as a woman, wear whatever you want? How will you stop them becoming the kind of Muslims we saw on those?
The way he just described Muslims or non-Muslims as being broad-minded, that's an absolutely ridiculous statement to me, because I am a broad-minded person, and I will make every effort, and I am making every effort to make sure that my children are open-minded people. They sort of see everybody as they are, not Muslims and Hindus, and the way he's sort of just completely sort of, how ignorant can he actually be to just brand everybody as this pathetic Muslims, and sort of, you know, I'm livid kind of listening to things that he's coming out with, and, you know, I'm just bringing my children up to be good people, not even necessarily good Muslims, good people first, and that is the most important thing. That also I'm trying to make them good Muslims, but that doesn't mean that I hate everybody else that isn't a Muslim the way he does. The hatred that comes through in his comments, and sort of, you know, that these, you know, this and that, and sort of Islam, and it's just so sort of, you know what I mean, like annoying and kind of, you know.
Stay there for a second. Afshin, stay there for a second, my darling. Sanjay, how would you react to being accused of being a Hindu extremist?
I am a Hindu extremist, and I'm proud, and I wish I was in India. I'd be the president, because I would make changes in India. Anyway, going back to...
wait a minute, Sanjay, let's get into this for a second, because what makes you then any different from a suicide bomb vest wearing nut job? What makes you any different?
Because Hindus don't teach killing innocent people. Because
Sanjay, speak. Wait a minute, Sanjay.
Yeah.
So you
speak to some of the Muslims in Gujarat, and also speak to some of the Sikhs in Delhi.
Yeah. I respect all
not that is a religious, and not that they were Hindus and doing it based on Hinduism, in the same way that you could argue that some of the terrorism that we see conducted by Muslims is nothing to do with Islam. It's to do with politics. It's to do with geopolitical things. It's to do with the fact that dictatorships funded by the West were allowed to oppress these people, thus creating such anger within those people who felt that they couldn't do anything, that the only place that they could go to is extremism. Now, are you not nuanced enough to think that that actually could be a reason? It's nothing to do with the Quran, it's to do with geopolitics and oil.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you know, oil, that's the reason why Muslims are getting ahead in this world. The thing is, because the oil is all in their countries, that's the problem.
So you're more than willing to describe yourself as a Hindu extremist.
Well, when you say extremist, I'm proud of Hinduism. I'll always protect Hinduism.
Well, that's different. What's
the difference between a Hindu extremist and what I just said? Because you're acting like Hindu extremist kills people. They don't kill people.
Really?
No. Who? Are you talking about the Tamil Tigers?
I'm talking about what happened in Gujarat.
Well, that was
which has been an ongoing...
Every action has a reaction.
Well, that doesn't make it any less the case that Hindus were involved in the massacre of Muslims, does it? That doesn't... You can say reaction or you can say whatever you want, my friend, but the fact was that there were Hindu gangs going around and murdering Muslims in Gujarat.
Because of reactions.
Okay, so that's justified, is it? So that's justified. Wait a minute, I think the Muslims were intentionally burnt alive in Gujarat, my friend.
After they did something. It's not the fact that they just always just bothered.
Okay, Bob.
Do that.
Okay, let's get Hindu speak to Hindu. Bob, what would you like to say?
Right. Sanjay, look, in Gujarat, we condemn it we completely condemn the innocent people were killed in Gujarat. Initially, it was done by the Godra train where innocent Hindu pilgrims were burned, but then that doesn't mean innocent Muslims then go and get killed. The guilty should be brought to justice, not innocent people. Those Hindu gangs, all right, you can call them Hindu, whatever they were, but they went around killing innocent people. That's completely wrong. There is not this reaction, whatever, against innocent people is not justified on any basis. We condemn both killings equally.
With that.
I mean, the thing is, I understand some of the points, but you're lambasting all this pathetic Muslims. It's not a term that we recognise. Everybody's entitled to their own free faith and to get on with their own lives, not to just blanketly lambast people. You can't do that.
Can I? It's all right if I just say something. You just say everyone's entitled to their own religion. I always believed that as a kid growing up. I believed everyone keeps to themselves and they respect each other's religion. I always brought up like that. But then when you see Islam doing certain things, which like they're taken over, they're trying to bother other people, trying to convert them and stuff. You just start to think, what's wrong with these people? And over the 20-year period, you start to wonder and say, what's going on? It's not the fact that it's just happened over once or twice.
Bob, what did you just say?
It is not all people. There are minority elements.
Okay, well,
we know. I mean, you mentioned it.
Let's bring Afshin back in. Afshin?
No, all I'm going to say is that Sanjay just needs to just please wake up and realise that, he just keeps saying Hinduism is the best, and he obviously thinks Hinduism is the best. All those people that believe in Islam, the ones that are true Muslims, they believe their religion is the best, as do most people in this world, and everybody has a right. So please just open your mind a little bit.
But the difference being, Afshin, is, of course, is that Hinduism, Sikhi, Buddhism, they are not religions that encourage conversion. Judaism doesn't either, whereas, of course, Islam and Christianity does.
Witnesses at our doors, people try and some people...
That's very true. That's very true.
It's the fact that they...
But there aren't a billion of them, and they aren't, as Muslims often say on this show, actually.
You said, Nihal, you've asked Sanjay, how many Muslims, plenty of Muslims, I'm sure, how many have actually ever tried to convert you? Be honest. Your average, everyday person will not try and convert you, okay? They may say things, they may try and, make you see
No one's
things.
ever tried to convert me to Islam.
Exactly. So,
and I've got a wide circle of Muslim friends.
In a practical sense,
and Hindu friends, and Sikh friends.
He just needs to open his mind a little bit. He's the one that needs to open his mind, and please stop bashing Muslims.
Not yet.
But then, wait a minute, sorry, there's a caveat here, of course. Apparently, according to Sanjay, I'm not normal, so perhaps that's why I've seen no Muslims.
He's the one that's not
normal. No, okay. Look, Sanjay, Afshin, thank you. Akila is on the line. Akila, you want to say something to Sanjay?
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my darling. What would you like to say to Sanjay?
Nihal, I just tuned into you as Sanjay was speaking, and I was really disturbed with the message that he's trying to get across to all the viewers. His views are very narrow-minded and very ignorant, and what he's saying, he can't back up anything, and I'm very angry that he has views like this, because I, being a Muslim, British Pakistani, I have a wide circle of Muslim and non-Muslim friends. I have never tried to convert any of my non-Muslim friends to Islam, nor have I tried to preach and force them into, believing them or following them. So what he's doing, he's tarring all Muslims, with the same brush, and it's wrong. There is a minority of Muslims who will do things like that, but we, as Muslims, we have to give dawah, which is a form of, we have to preach about our religion, just like Christians do, just like Jehovah's Witnesses do. It doesn't make you a bad person trying to spread your religion. It's when you try and impose it upon people, that's what I don't believe in.
Sanjay?
I just want to say something, last thing. Women of Islam should have more intelligence. I'll tell you why. If you go to a country which is Sharia law, what happens is if a woman gets raped, they need 4 witnesses just to testify. If they haven't got 4 witnesses,
Sanjay, with all due respect, my friend, you're talking about that. I mean, let's not get into a debate about rape. I mean, have you not been keeping up on the news in India where children are being raped and where police officers are being bribed or indeed complicit in the human trafficking. This is a Hindu country. This is Hindustan, as you call it. So let's not get down that route, my friend, because you're on very thin ice there.
When you say Hindustan, I'm only talking about India.
Jay, thank you very much indeed. We'll leave him there. Manzoor is on the line. Manzoor, Akila, stay with us. Manzoor is in Manchester. Manzoor, good afternoon, my friend.
Good afternoon. How are you doing, sir?
I'm having a very lively day.
So I have loved Sanjay to bits. He should consider a career in comedy.
Why?
He's absolutely hilarious.
Didn't Muslims go into India and convert people and pull down Hindu temples and kill Hindus? Didn't that happen?
I must have missed the memo then, if that's the case.
Say that again?
I must have missed the memo on that.
Well, no, that happened.
I'm a Muslim.
Wait a minute, didn't the Mughals invade India, or was our history wrong?
Well, if we dwell on history, how are we going to move forward?
No, quite. No, I get that. But then do you understand where his views come from? Because they are embedded in hundreds of years of history.
I agree with him. If you look at it, certain civilizations or communities have always faced persecution, be it the Muslims, be it the Hindus, be it the Sikhs.
Okay, have you got a cow or something with you?
No.
Right, okay, I just wondered what that noise was. Mansoor, yes, of course, there has been a history of persecution, but, okay, let's look at it this way, Mansoor. What we have is an issue where there are British Muslims willing to commit terrorist atrocities on mainland Britain. We don't have British Hindus or Sikhs willing to do that, do we? I
agree with that. Those Muslims, I wouldn't even call them Muslims, those are misguided morons. People like Anjem Chaudhry, they don't have a place in society.
Well, what if they said to you, you are a Western liberal Muslim, you are not following the true path of Islam, you are not adhering to the tenets of the Hadiths and the Quran, therefore, someone like him, Anjem Chaudhry, he is a true Muslim and you're not one. What would you say to that? Because he does use that argument when faced with...
He does use that. Well, my response to that would be, I'm not Western, I'm African. Deal with it.
Okay. Sounds like a great T-shirt, that is. Okay, Mansoor, thank you very much. Let's speak to Adam in Birmingham. Good afternoon, Adam.
Hi, Nahal, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Thanks for calling in, Adam. So you think we should all sign a peace charter, do you?
Well, your show's been absolutely explosive so far.
Yeah, man, we've been going in. Definitely.
I'm of the opinion, basically, I want to keep this sort of relative to the subject, which is
please do.
The charter itself. First and foremost, is what would such a charter achieve?
Do you know what? Let's try and get you on a clearer line, Adam. I want to make sure people hear what you've got to say. Omar is in Birmingham, then we'll come back to you, Adam, my friend. Omar, good afternoon, sir.
Hi, Nihal. How's it going?
I'm good, man. What made you want to pick up the phone today, then, Omar?
I just heard your man, that guy, Sanj.
Yeah.
Speaking on the radio. He's a bit extreme, man.
Well, he said he was, yeah. He said, I am a Hindu extremist, is what he said, yeah.
You have a crazy character. You can't jump on the radio and talk negative about other religions. It's the span of the order, man. I'm a born Muslim. I respect all religions.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to have an understanding about everyone's religion and everyone's feelings.
Yeah, fair play to you.
He just
but Omar, would you admit that there are Muslims who don't respect other people's religions in the same way that there are Hindus and Sikhs that don't respect other people's religions?
That's right. No, that's right. And like, obviously, being a Muslim, I've been taught like to respect everybody's religion. I mainly work around Hindu people and Sikh people. That's my job as being an electrician. I come across everybody, but that guy, he was just one in a million, man. He was just there. He just exploded the radio part, man.
Well, you know, the thing is, Omar, it's easy to kind of ignore him, but there are lots of people that are scared of Islam. They're scared of it because they don't understand it, and all they see are these headlines. They see these kind of bombs going off in Iraq and in Egypt, and they're worried.
Yeah, but you got to understand that Islam was never ever spread by the sword. That's what Islam was just spread by word and peace and love. That's how Islam came about.
Well, I'm not sure the Hindus in India would agree with you on that. You know, hundreds and hundreds of years ago when the Mughals came in, the Mughals just didn't come in and go, "Hi, chaps, do you fancy being Muslims? Oh, brilliant, that's all right then. Let's get on with it then." I mean, that's not really how it worked.
Yeah, it didn't happen like that. In many places, it didn't happen like that. But you got to understand, where you got Mecca and Medina, where they started from. where Islam originated, started simple. It's word dawah, meaning invitation towards good and forbid evil. That's all it was. And obviously, as time goes on, people start coming into the religion. You've probably heard this name 1,000 times today morning, Anjem Chowdhury, who's trying to portray Islam, and he's giving negative views over. And see what the Quran is. The language, Arabic language, one word has 10 different meanings. And you have to have an Islamic scholar to understand it properly.
Okay.
If I was to read the Quran,
yes, brother.
Yes, I wouldn't be able to understand it.
Right. Well, I'm out, my friend. I've got.
You didn't, frankly, have the balls to put country before party.